Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure. It's
Yeah.
really a pleasure to have everyone this evening join us on this very important topic tonight with Emmanuel Olorunfemi. And the title for tonight's presentation is Building Wealth and Financial Security in Canada with Insurance. But before we dive into that and get to know who Emmanuel is and what he does, just give me a few minutes to read his profile because, again, it's important for you to know who you're speaking with so that you know what authority he has to talk to you on this matter. So give me a second. So first off, Emmanuel Olorunfemi stands as the visionary force behind Emmy Kemo Legacy Inc., a dynamic entrepreneur, financial guide, and insurance expert, holding the role of executive managing broker at Gateway Financial Inc. Emmanuel spearheads initiatives to educate Canadian families on crucial insurance strategies, shielding them from potential financial pitfalls. Emmanuel's mission is crystal clear to empower individuals and Canadian families with the wealth building prowess of the affluent. His focus extends beyond mere financial guidance, aiming to unravel the secrets of tax savings and wealth accumulation. Rooted in a background in electrical engineering and an MSc in oil and gas engineering, coupled with a rich 15-year history of fieldwork, Emmanuel has seamlessly transitioned into a purpose-driven role as a broker committed to reshaping the financial destinies of Canadian families. So if you want to know more about Emmanuel and his transformative work, connect with him on LinkedIn, and then your journey towards financial empowerment and prosperity begins right there. So on that note, Emmanuel Olorunfemi, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Christine. I really appreciate it.
Yes, so but before you
Okay.
start talking about the financials, who
Okay.
is Emmanuel and how did you find yourself as a financial advisor through insurance?
Oh, great. Uh, just like if you said, you've said everything about me. I'll just iterate a little bit. My background is electrical engineering, and I have my secondary degree, master's in oil and gas engineering. I work with several, excuse me, companies, oil and gas, international service oil company. I work as international fit engineers for several years. I've traveled more than 50 countries. And I was in UK before coming to Canada, and landing in Canada, I was still, traveling back in Africa and coming back to Canada finally to stay. Then I was looking for, oil and gas job. Or I realized going outside -50, it's not something I wanted to be doing because, I've been international field engineer. So a field engineer work on the field. So I was looking
Mhm.
for something that would enable me to stay warm and at the same time make the same money that I was making, at least, if not more. I mean, just par by par, right?
Yeah.
And I was searching through opportunities. I go through some MGAs and all that. It was not really intriguing, all the ones I was finding. So I was okay, fine. Maybe probably I'll dive into IT because I know that will give me the opportunity to be. And I met my angel. I always say my angel. So they
Wow.
showed me this. And it makes sense because I see it like helping families,
Yeah.
getting them settled, and then I keep on tracking their finances. And then at the same time, because I also have family to go back to, so I also need to take care of them, right? So and then I was able to make do with all the things I was looking forward to, and I've helped more than 100 plus families and settle them financially in Canada. And that number keep on growing over the years. My target now is between now and the end of the year, I should be able to cover at least minimum of 300 families.
Impressive.
So to make them to be financially secure and so that they don't have to worry about money for the rest of their life.
That's a very what's it called, like a very impressive goal to have, not just for yourself, but for those families that you'll be helping and working with. So thank you for doing that because again, finances and then financial knowledge or wealth is one of the bedrocks of the human
Yeah.
sustainability. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
So so thank you very much. So today, thank you for the opportunity, Christine. I really appreciate it to be able to share this topic. And I'll be talking on building wealth and financial security in Canada with insurance. So I'll just quickly go to my next slide. We'll be looking at the agenda, what we'll be focusing on today. Of course, we have to start with the definition because we not first of all need to know the definition of something we're dealing with so that we can have a holistic view of it. Now, I'll also be talking about different type of insurance we have in Canada and their benefits. Now, also, we're talking about how we can use insurance to plan for retirement. And then the last one, I'll be looking what is prevention looks like for us right now as of 2024 in Canada. So, just like I said, we start from the intro, which is the definition of insurance. What is insurance? It's a contract or policy between you and the insurance company that you'll be compensated for if the event you are covered for happens within the time of the policy. Now, the premium is paid by you in exchange that the insurance company will pay you a compensation in a month if something that you are insured for happen within the time of the policy. Now, insurance is you are transferring risks to the insurance company, financial risk to the insurance company. So in this essence, in the time that you have losses, then the insurance company come in to pay for the damages. So now, how does life works? So generally, when we are young, what do I mean by when we're young? The most active and productive age is between age of 18 and 55. Our need is so high, but that need tend to decrease as we're aging. Now, and at the same time, that also follow with building of our wealth, because majority of people when they were young, they were not that rich. But as they are growing, they grow with their wealth. Now, there are people that don't, some people have exceptions to this curve. And those are the people that maybe their grandparent or their parent have left a chunk of money for them. So they're just waking up to see that they are rich. But for majority of people, we fall into this curve. Now, there are two major problems we cannot avoid in Canada. Number one is if life is short. And the second one is if life is long. Now, let's look at when we're young. We take care of our family because that's when a lot of people go to work, they make money, they take care of their family. But what if the breadwinner pass away? What happened? So the answer to that is if they have a life insurance. Of course, if the breadwinner pass away, the life insurance will pay and the family can still maintain the lifestyle they had before, proud the breadwinner passed. There's another one, which is if we live long. For majority of us, we will live long. Why do I say that? Majority of people live long in Canada. There is a good healthcare system. The environment is also good as well. So people tend to live long. But you agree with me that you need money to live in Canada. That's a fact. So, and as we grow in age, the energy to do the work might not be there as it is maybe like 10, 20 years, depending on who we're talking to in respect. So the answer to that one is retirement investment. So we have to have a strategy to build our wealth. So by the time we get to that retirement, we don't have money problem. Now, just like I said, that if life is short, the answer is life insurance. So how does life insurance work? So now let's look at the three basic life insurance we have in Canada. They are we have term, we have whole life, and new health. Now we'll be looking at them other different headings. Term is a temporary coverage. What do I mean by that? Temporary coverage means it's only cover you for a specific period of time. So it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 30 years, but it's for that period of time. Now, whole life and health, those ones could be configured to be permanent. What do I mean by permanent? So permanent means anytime the person died, there will be a payout to the family. Now let's look at cash value. Cash value is the money you have in your plan that you can access while you are alive. Term does not have a cash value. It's just pure insurance. So the person have to die before the insurance company pay. Now, whole life and health, they have cash value. So those are the cash you can access while you are living. Now let's talk about potential to grow, because it's not about just putting money in the plan, or can that money grow? Now, just like I said, term does not have a cash value, so it cannot grow. But now whole life and health, they have cash value and they have the ability to grow. So you can actually multiply the money, your money in the cash value in the plan. Now let's look about self-direct your investment. Now, TAM, you cannot self-direct what you don't have. TAM does not have investment, so you cannot self-direct it. Whole Life and UHealth have investment, but you cannot self-direct investment under Whole Life. The investment are solely done by the insurance company. Now, under a UHealth, you can self-direct your investment. So that means you can actually select. If you are very aggressive, you can easily double your money very fast within a period of time, depending on who is managing that portfolio. Now, let's look about guaranteed premium. Of course, TAM has a guaranteed premium. What do I mean by that? So if you have a TAM 10, let's say you start it with $100, it's going to be that $100 for 10 years. But one thing with TAM is after that 10 years, if you still feel you need the insurance, it becomes so expensive when you are renewing it. And that's why a lot of people don't renew it, because it will be subject to their age and also their health. Now, Whole Life has a guaranteed premium. Depending on the company you are buying it from, we determine how it's being structured. Some of it could be paid for the lifetime. Some of it could be paid 20 years, some could be 10 years. So that means if the person's lifetime is looked out into, they say, okay, fine, you pay everything within 20 years and you have it for lifetime. Now, UL does not have a guaranteed premium. So what do I mean by that? So you are paying a cost that is commensurate with your age. Now, CRA come in and they give you a maximum cap per year. It's a function of your age and the coverage you have. So within this now, you can now turn into an investment vehicle, and which is what the rich do in Canada. Now, let's look about flexibility of premium. Flexibility of premium, TAM is not flexible. What do I mean? So now let's say, for example, you have a TAM 10, you pay for 9 years, and then after 9 years, maybe on the 10th year, the first month, you miss it, maybe because you have a lot of financial bills that come in, so you can't afford to pay for that coverage. Now, you're going to get a letter from the insurance company that you have 31 days grace period under a term. Now, if you don't fund that account within that 31 days, you're going to lose the entire contribution you've been having before. And if something happens to the person after that time, the insurance company will not pay. That's how term works. Now, Whole Life also is not that flexible. Why? Because the investment is guarantee account. So most of the money you pay goes to the cost. Now, a lot of the small money that goes to investment is not really because you can't determine where they put the investment. Excuse me, because the account is guaranteed. The insurance company does not put it in an aggressive portfolio because they have already guaranteed you what they will give you. So apparently the return is not much. Now, if you miss your premium, you don't have a long time before you are requested to pay. And if you don't pay, the policy lapse. But under a UL, you have a lot of flexibility. What do I mean? So let's say, for example, you've been able to pay for 2 years under a UL. You can actually go for a break for 1, 2, 3 years, depending on your coverage and the amount of cash value you have, without you paying anything. And if anything happens, your family get the death benefit. And at the same time, CRA will give you a maximum cap per year that you can actually turn into an investment vehicle, and you can easily become a millionaire under the space of 30 years if you use your portfolio properly. Now, let's look about cost. Cost of insurance for term is a bit lower. Why? Because you're only paying for insurance. Now, UL and Whole Life might be higher. Why? Because they have investment component in them. Now, based on individual needs, we can use any of these to design a plan for people in Canada, because we have to look at their risk tolerance, we have to look at their budget, we have to look at what their need is. And based on that, we can use any of these to design a plan for anybody in Canada. Now, let's look at the understanding of insurance options. So term are there to just cover for short-term needs. What do I mean? So like income replacement, because once all your children are 18 years and above, you don't need to replace your income anymore. Now, once you finish paying your mortgage, you might not need to cover that debt anymore. So now loan repayment and children education, that's what we use term policy for. Now, Whole Life offer a lifetime coverage with a guaranteed cash. That's what I was saying before. The Whole Life has a guaranteed cash and a guaranteed death benefit that is offered by the insurance company. Now, UL offer a lifetime coverage, optional investment account, and a guaranteed death benefit. So now, CRA give you a maximum cap, and that's what majority of people take advantage of. I will talk about that when we get to the next slide. Now, UL is not the same. It depends on the company you are buying it from and the source you are getting it from. But what you need to check very well is how your policy is being structured, what is the wording, And at the same time, you also need to track your portfolio to be sure that it's working as projected. Now, let's go into the next slide. Now, this statistics in Canada at the age of 65 is done by, if you log into Statistics Canada, you can get this information. But 67% of Canadians are financially weak at the age of 65. What does that mean? Majority of people are house rich, but cash poor. Majority of people at the age of 65, they finish paying their house, so they don't have any mortgage anymore, but they don't have cash. So a lot of them have to do what they call reverse mortgage, to have to go to the bank and use the equity on their house to fund themselves. And when they die, the bank come for the house and they have nothing left for their beneficiary. Now, according to these statistics, about 24% of people don't make it up to 65, so they pass away. There is nothing anybody can do about this. But it's only 9% that are financially secure. And what does this 9% people do? Because they understand how money works in Canada, they've been able to take advantage of the provisions within the law, and they become financially secure. Now, this information are there in the book, but if you don't find it, nobody's going to tell you. And if you take advantage of it, you're not breaking any law. It's what is allowed within the CRA rule. Now, how does this work? So you get a policy on your life, because just like I said, our insurance need decreases as we grow in age. You're not going to pay for lifetime, depending on the company you buy it from, which is what I was saying, that you have to be sure you check your policy and where you're getting it from, because each company has what their value is and the prices are not the same. So as a broker, I can easily tell you, okay, this, because it depends on then. There are so many things that are incorporated in this. Now, so when you get a policy on your plan, on your life, you max fund the account. Now, the CRA give you a maximum number of money you can put in per year that is tax-free. So it's a tax setup portfolio. Now, it is linked to an index. The account is linked to an index. And right now, most of the index are doing 48%. Some are doing like 35%. So if your broker is quite very good, if you have a $40,000 right now, you could get, and you are getting 48% of that return in 1 year. That's a lot of money. And that's what the rich people do. And that's how the rich become richer. And that's what the rich do with insurance. Because actually, does the rich actually need insurance? No, they don't. But they need insurance because to build their wealth. Because they're already rich. So if they die, they have a lot of money going to their family. But they now buy insurance to build that wealth and transfer it at a free, because it's what is allowed for everybody in Canada they can access. No matter how much money you have. You don't have to be extremely rich to be able to use this system. No matter how much amount you have, you can work something that actually meets your budget. Now, the account is tax sheltered, so your investment, you are not paying taxes on the growth of the investment. Now, you are not paying for the rest of your lifetime. So most of these plans are configured to pay for 20 years or some 25 years, depending on the company you are buying it from or how it's been structured. Now, after 20 years, you don't pay anything anymore. Some of the plan has bonuses on the plan. So the bonuses come to pay because you have the insurance for lifetime. So of course, you have to be paying something for the cost of insurance. So some of the plan that have bonuses, the bonuses pay off your cost of insurance and your investment is not touched. And that you can use it at retirement. And when the person finally passes, because of course, everybody will die one day. When the person finally passes, your family get the death benefit plus the investment. Now, so let's look at how this works. How do you now assess money in your plan? Because I've been saying it, okay, you have money in the plan, you put money in it. It's a lot of details, but of course, I can't finish everything on this presentation, but I just give you the tips. Now, how do you assess money in your plan? So there are three major ways you can assess money that you have under your cash value. Number one, you can do a direct withdrawal, just like your bank account, just like a checking account. You can go and withdraw money from your policy. Now, that has a clause, because CRA have a clause on it, that if you withdraw anything above your ACB is adjusted cost basis. So anything above that, because you know the investment in that account, you not pay taxes on it. And you know in Canada, they don't play with their tax. Right. So now if you are withdrawing from it just like bank account, when you withdraw above your ACB, you have to pay taxes to CRA. That's one thing with withdrawal. Now, the other option is policy loan. You can take a policy loan from the insurance company. Now, the insurance company can give you a loan based on your money, But now, because if you are not paying the loan back plus the interest, the insurance have the money with them, so they are not bothering. If you don't pay them back, when your money finishes, they send you a letter your money has finished. Now, the other option that you can access your money is through living benefit. So living benefit is incorporated within the plan. Now, if the person become occupational disabled or critically ill, they can actually access this money. It's tax-free, surrender charge-free. And you can use the money, you can use the money for whatever you choose. Now, the other options which we recommend and which is what the rich people do is what we call collateral bank loan. How do they do this? So in Canada, a permanent life insurance with car value is an asset, just like your TFSA RSP. So just like your house, you can go to bank and use it as a collateral to borrow money from the bank. And that's what all the rich people, all the billionaires, this is what they do. They don't ever they don't ever spend their money. A lot of them go to the bank, use their insurance as a collateral to collect more loan from the bank. Because why do they do that? The interest on the loan is so small compared to what they are making from their investment. So it's not wise to liquidate their investment and spend it. It's better to borrow against their investment because the investment is doing a lot better than the interest they are paying on the loan. Now, this is how it's been done on this part. When you get your policy and place it a collateral, before the bank approve you the money, the insurance company are in the loop because they are the guarantee and they are the surety. So they are the waiver. They are going to be the one paying back. You're not going to pay back the loan you collect from the bank. So you negotiate with the bank that the loan will not be annualized. It will be capitalized. What do I mean by that? So instead of you paying interest annually, then it is compounded over the period of time. When the person now died, because you use your policy as collateral, the insurance company, first of all, pay the bank plus the interest, and the remaining goes to your beneficiary tax-free, provided your beneficiary is your immediate family. That's the law in Canada. So if you use your cousin as your beneficiary, then it will be subject to taxes. But once your beneficiary is your immediate family, then there is no tax. So if your beneficiary is your estate, then it will be subject to taxes. Now, let's look at the next one. There are a lot of risks that is associated with retirement. You know, everything we do in life, there's always risk associated with it. Now, the major risk that is associated with our retirement is income and taxes. A lot of people have difficulty in getting incomes and retirement. And another thing is taxes, because a lot of people probably they've used when they work in life, they acquire a lot of properties, and maybe probably those properties are fully paid, and they're having a lot of rental income. Remember, rental income is also it's just like your income. So you have to declare it and pay taxes on it. Now, inflation is the major risk, the major problem to our retirement. Why do I say that? About 4 years ago, a loaf of bread here is around $1. I mean, it's $1.20 or thereabout, $1.25, $1.30. But right now, a loaf of bread is about $4, $5. What does that mean? So that means $5 can buy like 3 or 4 bread like 4 years ago, but right now you can only buy one. So that means the value of $5 4 years ago, it's like you have 4 loaves of bread, but right now it's just one. That's how it is. So in the next 10 years, the value of $10,000, what $10,000 can buy today, he won't be able to buy it in the next 10 years. And that's why it's a problem to our retirement. Another thing is market volatility and also return on investment. Because market goes up and down, it's not predictable. So that also have an implications on our return on investment and also what we get as our fund that we can access our retirement. This is so important, and that's why I always recommend to track your investment account biannually or at least once a year to be sure that it's working as you are projected. Another thing is longevity risk, as people are living too long. So you can imagine somebody that live up to 100 years and has retired at the age of 65. So that means they have to pack a money aside to be able to take care of them for 35 years. So that's one of the issues. So these are the risks that we look at when we are planning towards retirement. Now, let's look at what is obtainable for us from Canada.ca. Everybody in Canada will get something from the government. Now, how much you get from the government is a function of so many factors. Now, how many years you've lived in Canada, how many years you work and all that. But according to that same website, for this year, a maximum pay at the age of 65 is $1,364.60. So, but there's a condition to get this maximum. You must have worked in Canada between 35 to 39 years. For majority of all that are immigrants, this is absolutely impossible. So, but even at that, people that were born here still find it difficult to be able to put this number of years in service. Why do I say that? Because the time they're out of jobs, those are not counted. And according to that same website, in October 2023, the average pay was $758.32. What does this mean? So that means majority of people in Canada, as of October last year, that's 2023, the average pay from CPP is $758.32. That is what majority of people get. Now, is $758 okay for somebody to live on in a month? No. So now, this is a matter of everybody will get there. Now, we already know this. Maybe probably we have some time ahead of us, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years, depending on your age to 65. Now, and we use these years properly to be able to plan so that by the time we get there, we don't have to go through what these people are going through. It's a matter of time, it's a matter of discipline. Right. Now, I also look at this from Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, which they recommend toolkits. Toolkits are things that you can use to plan towards your retirement. So if you are doing your estate planning, these are mentioned from, you can get it from the website of a Financial Consumer Agency. And insurance is mentioned 3 times. So that shows the importance of insurance to your retirement. And the government also acknowledges a permanent life insurance with a cash value is an asset. Now, what I always recommend is you have to know what kind of policy you have. You have to know where you are getting it from, and you see how it's progressing. That is so important because that's how you can track and you can see, okay, at so and so time, I should be able to have access to so and so amount of money. So depending on your lifestyle, you can project as, okay, fine. If I have access to maybe, let's say, $100,000 annually, that will be okay for the person every year for the rest of their lifetime. So now, what do you need to do to be able to achieve that? So you can all do that by you getting a plan, and that could be, of course, it'll be off. It will not be on this presentation for sure. Now, retirement planning. When we are planning retirement, there are so many things that we need to put in place. Number one is for us to identify the goals. The goals means, okay, how much money are we looking at to be able to assess our retirement? How much do we think will be okay for us? Now, assessing our current financial position, because it's so important, we have to check what position are we financially. Now, the second one is understanding our income sources, because where are the income coming from? How can we, maximize our income? And do we need extra income to be able to, plan towards our retirement? Now, the next one is investment planning, because it's a matter of time. All of us will get there one day. And how we plan for retirement is how we're going to enjoy it at that time. Now, the other one is planning for unforeseen circumstances. Of course, there's a rule of thumb that you have at least 3 months of your expenses back in maybe a saving account, or just a place you can just access anytime till you need it. Because, of course, things happen that we are not in control of it because we are women. Then the next one is managing our retirement income. This is so important. We have to manage our resources. Of course, this is function of individual basis, right? Because some people with just say $2,000 is okay for them. For some people, maybe probably they need more than maybe $8,000 or $10,000 for them to be okay in a month. That's the kind of lifestyle they live in, right? So this is a function of everybody, and we have to track our retirement income. Now, continuous monitoring our retirement asset. This is so important. We cannot leave all our assets until retirement. We have to be, just like I've been reiterating it since I started, we have to be checking and be looking at the performance of our portfolio and be looking at it, and it's falling in place that have been projected. So that means by the time we get to retirement, we don't get any surprise. Now, I got into the summary. According to Income Tax Act, a UL, a Universal Life policy is exempted from taxes, and it's a powerful tool that the rich are using to accumulate wealth and also provide additional fund at retirement. And they have insurance protection at death or disability. With this strategy, which is referred to as Insure Retirement Strategy, we overfund our UF policy to the maximum allowed limit by law from the CRA, and then we can grow this money tax-free, and our retirement or at when do we feel using it, we can access it and use it for whatever options we choose. And when the person passes away, we're going to be leaving a chunk of money for our beneficiary and the generation to come. And that's what majority of the rich people do in Canada. And that's where you see somebody working at Tim Hortons and is driving a Ferrari. And you'll be wondering, how can Tim Hortons buy a Ferrari? It's not them, it's their grandparents that have done that. Because by the parent passed away, they gave them $1 million, and the guy felt, okay, what am I doing with $1 million? I get a Ferrari. So, I mean, it's not his money, but because the parents are planned properly, they were able to do that for them. So we can actually use insurance to better our retirement, to better ourselves, and also our next generation, they will not have money problem anymore. Well, thank you for your time. And we're going to questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for sharing your information, because I know some of us will have some questions, if not now, but I know there's a question we have in the chat box, and that's
Okay.
coming from Bola Titulawa. She says, can one sign up for more than one insurance type like term and universal to take advantage of the different benefits inherent?
Yes, yes, you can
How does
sign
that work?
for. Okay, great. So now, depending on your goal, you can sign in for, we call it a layer plan. So a layer plan, we have some permanent and some term. Now, let's say, for example, the person wants to take advantage of all this scenario, but they don't have enough money because, when you want to have everything permanent, you're going to pay a little bit higher. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a way to do it. Even with what you have, you can make it happen that you'll be able to take advantage of the permanent structure and also the term. So the term will be there in case if the person died. So the family will have a lot of money. Now, maybe probably at the time they finish paying their mortgage, they don't really need to cover that anymore. So that will go away. They might not need to renew it anymore. But the one that is permanent, that's the only one that can hold the cash value. So that one will be able to hold the cash value that they can now access at retirement. And when they finally pass away, there will be a death benefit paid to their beneficiary. So yes, you can do that.
So you mentioned the cost of the term, the other two being higher than the term,
Yeah.
and the flexibility. So on the average, I know it's going to be a lot of work, but on the average what's the lowest premium, yes, that could come for maybe term and then the other two, universal and the other one? Uh, just to
Okay.
have an idea, because
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. That's a good question, and thank you for that follow-up. You don't have a minimum, you don't have a maximum. And that's how I normally say. So your pocket will determine your minimum, and your pocket will determine your maximum. So based on what you have and your situation, we can design a plan that matches your situation. And that's how I do, because that's what we call financial need analysis. Say, for example, if I say, okay, I'm protecting you for retirement,
Mhm.
then I give you, like, let's say, for example, $200,000 coverage. But what you actually need is $1 million. But probably maybe you cannot afford to have something, maybe, let's say, for example, because it all depends on age and sex. That's how insurance is being done. But let's say, for example, that $1 million will require you, for example, maybe you have to contribute 400 or 500 every month for 20 years. Now, you now feel like, oh, this is too much for me. I can only do like 150. Okay. So that 150 will not be able to give you $1 million that is permanent. Or it might be able to give you, like, let's say, for example, 300,000. Now, but I have checked your financial need analysis. I know that you need actually $1 million because you have a mortgage and you have an outstanding of $500,000. Your children is going to school. You want to also have provision for that. So your need is actually $1 million. So it won't be. I'm not going to do a good service as an advisor by giving you a $300,000 because I'm only looking at your retirement. What if something happens to you? God forbid, nothing will happen to you. I'm just saying it as so what if something happens to the person now, and your family need $1 million right now, but what you have is just 300,000. So what we do is that's why, based on what we have, we do a financial need analysis for you, but we can design a plan for you that will also have that $1 million within the $200 or 150 that you have. How do we do that? That's what we call a layered plan. So now you have a small permanent, and then you have a layered plan. So if anything happens to the person in short term, your family does not have to worry about money because you cover them. Now in the long term, if the person live long, and then you have more money, you just convert the rest that you have to permanent, and then so you use one stone, just a proverb. You use one stone to kill two birds. So apparently you have what you need right now, and at the same time you're also thinking about tomorrow. So it will not be a good one if you are just thinking about tomorrow. What about what happened in between?
No.
So that's why planning is so important, and you also have to track your portfolio to be sure that you are getting the right thing. Time. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I will allow others to have questions. Maybe I will still come back, but that's actually answer my question. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right, thank you. But I think I like the fact that you had to put some numbers because for some of us, when you're talking financials and just in theoretical without numbers, it becomes difficult to follow, and that's so thank you for saying that. So while I'm waiting for other questions from other ladies, I have this particular question here on my side. So this is about again this RRSP. We
Okay.
know that most organizations they provide those RRSP plan for their employees and all that, but not a lot of them, but some do not, say for like non-profits, for example, again, they don't cover that. So for someone who is, so now you mentioned it while you were talking that, okay, it's always best to start saving early, but for those who are coming over 40 years of age, and retirement is like, you have about 20, 25 years, right? So you have limited window to save that much. And like, so for some of them who do not have those options, how can they have how can they take advantage of a great insurance or a savings plan, on their own outside of what the company would have given, since they do not have that? How can they provide for themselves?
Okay.
Because I
Good
see
question.
people who move from, so for example, people who move from corporate organizations and go to non-profit, they lose that. And then they're now on their own. So there's some give and take things, there's some trade-offs. But how can someone continue to have that without having to worry about, okay, well, a personal RSP plan that works?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. That's a very good question. So RSP, just let me just explain. I'm not a fan of RSP, and I'll tell you why. Okay. But RSP is a good tool if the company is matching it for you because it's a free money. If you don't take it, they will never give it to you. So why do you want to lose it? It's an opportunity that you don't want to miss. Now, RSP is not tax-free at the end. When you're assessing your money, you're going to pay your corresponding tax. Now, if you have saved enough when you are working, because a retirement is not just income from employment, it's income from all sources that is counted to be the tax bracket you fall into. So let's say probably you have about 2, 3 rental properties, like it's make you fully paid. Now retirement, now that's an income already. So that has already take you to high income tax bracket. So when you're assessing the RSP, you will never, you still pay the taxes you run away from, which is more and doesn't make sense. But of course,
And
it makes
delayed
sense.
taxes.
Yes, it makes sense for people that are retirement, they don't have income or they have very low income. So in that way, if when they're working, they have saved. I'm just trying to, because your question is so broad, so I'm trying to see how I can make it a bit. So now, our retirement, that's a good one for them because they've saved on taxes. Now, another thing is for majority of us, we came in late. Half above 40 or some 50. So now the time we have is close, that we have close to retirement is so short. And that's why we need to be aggressive. And that's what I always recommend to people, that you can take advantage of good portfolio, but you have to see that that product is returning very well. I make some review to some of my clients. Some of them are getting like 15%, 20% return, 30% return, 40% return. So now if you are getting 40% return, it might not be happening every year. That's true. But of course, let's say consecutively you are getting 20% return every year. What will it take for you to double your money? So 72 divided by 20. So that means in the space of less than 3.5 years, you double your money. So if you are doubling your money, let's say for example, you put $10,000 today, and then you are getting 20% return average consecutively, in the next 7 years, that money is already $40,000. In the next 12 years, that money is over $80,000, but that's just 10,000. You can imagine if you are now putting money consistently, and that's why it's easy to become a millionaire under the space of 20-25 years, if you plan it properly. Because if you are contributing consistently and you are getting that return, and the more money you put in the investment, the more money you get. I tried that with my son's account because, I'm a broker. So I had to show people example and say, hey, I tried this, I put this extra money. On my own plan, I have about 15% return. For his own, because I put an extra $500, his own came almost 20% return. So what does that mean to you? So that means, it means the more money you put in, the better it becomes for you. So that's the options that, and I always recommend to people because I know some organizations have what they call group life insurance that they protect their employees with that. And majorly for insurance that you get from your employer, is mostly is just to replace your income for between 1 to 3 years. Now that is not enough, because let's even say you are getting $100,000, the employer will not cover you more than 200,000. So if the person passes away and that's the only thing they have, maybe that cannot even pay their mortgage. So they will leave their family in financial agony. And that's the reason why I always recommend that everybody should have their own personal life insurance, and also take advantage of what the rich people are doing, because the system is created for the rich, and that's the truth. And if you know the opportunity that the rich are using, you're not breaking any law. Take advantage of it. So no matter how much money you have or how your budget is, you can get a plan that meets your need. And you can also take advantage of what the rich are doing. The only thing is that the more money you put in, the more money you get out. But that does not stop you. I know some of the banks also have this plan that I'm talking about, but it's not accessible to the poor. Like ROBC now, for you to access this plan, you must be able to draw $50,000 every year for 10 years. How many people can do that? So if you cannot fall into that bracket, they will never tell you, because it's outside the person's league. But now the insurance are make it open, no matter how much money you have, because it's a privilege that the law allows us to do. So if the bank now put it to the rich, because those are the powerful ones, they can put the money. How many people can put $50,000 every year for 10 years? Maybe some people, their entire income is just 50,000. So you now tell them to come, and then before even the tax is taken out and all that. So, but the insurance have broken it down for them to take advantage of it. But what I always tell people, because I'm also in that bracket, I came late as well. So apparently, is to be aggressive and take advantage of all these options. RSP, it depends on what you actually want to achieve. I'm a fan of TFSA. Why? Because you never pay any taxes at any point in time, and you get your money with the interest return, provided that you are not doing money market trading. And majority of people don't do that because they don't even understand what it is. So if you put your money in investment portfolio that is not a daily trading. Daily trading is where it's a new rule now that CRA brought. If you are doing daily trading, because daily trading, you can easily make a lot of money and you can also lose a lot of monye. So the CRA say, okay, if you are making a lot of money from your TFSA account, then we should do something. So if you are using your TFSA account to do a daily trading, you might be subject to tax, the point. But if you're not doing a daily trading, you don't pay any taxes. It's tax-free. Your money is your money. The growth on it is yours. The only thing is that the room is not much for people that have a lot of money. So, but one thing I always recommend is, first of all, have the IRP, because that gives you everybody in Canada need insurance. That gives you an insurance protection and also save your future. Then another thing is TFSA. Then if the money is still remaining, then you go to real estate, then you go to RSP. And if you have more, you just be expanding and expanding. But one thing I always recommend to people is that if you have a very limited budget, look at a portfolio that can give you a protection today and a protection tomorrow. Because for I met so many people, of course, we have middle market, average. You have to, able to help them as well. Because somebody tell you, after I pay my bills, it's only $200 that is out. So, and you are telling me to put money in this, put money in this. How can I distribute this evenly? It's okay. If that's your situation, then you are looking at, so you want to look for something that can protect you for now. So in case, if anything happens to you now, your family will not have to worry about money for the rest of their lifetime. Then if you live long, you can also take out of that money and enjoy yourself. And finally, by the time you pass, because everybody will pass one day, then your next generation will have a better way to start. Do I answer your question?
Yes, to a great extent. And then that's brought up another question. Like, it seems it's just
Okay.
Bola, Tito, and Ida on this platform today. So let's maximize. So let's just keep going. So for if I get you correctly, so instead of having
Okay.
to put in that account, is there like a portfolio, one account that you can put all of these, and then maybe the broker will now do the distribution for you, because most people don't have that time to start monitoring and reviewing, and a
Okay,
lot of
great.
people who a lot of stockbrokers or stock share owners and stuff. Yeah, they're always awake all night. The stock price is raising, it has dropped. I mean, like, personally, I can't deal with that headache, right? I just want to put it somewhere and know, like, okay, someone is taking care of it. How easy is that to get someone to take away? I mean, give that peace of mind with
Okay, good question.
insurance and
Yeah,
yeah, please
good
educate us.
question.
Thank you.
So what if your broker, the service of a broker is to be able to safeguard people's funds? So it's not your own headache. You transfer the work to them, and by compliance, we are required to review client account at least minimum once a year. It's a law in Canada. So if I'm your broker or I'm your financial advisor, it is my responsibility to be sure that I have a meeting with you at least once a year to go through over your account. We look at it, we check your portfolio, we look at the returns. And if there's other things for us that, okay, probably this thing is going down now, can we take advantage of it? I do that more than once to some of my clients. So for example, if I'm seeing that maybe this thing is going down, I can't do it, I can't just go ahead and change this thing. No. So I have to get their consent, explain it to them. I say, look at this thing is going down. Would you like to change? And then if they say yes, they have to, sign. And then they're the one that instructed me. We are well regulated in Canada, so you cannot just do anything you like, right? So once they sign and give me that authorization, then just like one of my clients, last year, March, I was going through his account. He has lost a lot of money. So I called him. I said, hey, you know what? This thing is going down, and you insist on, you say you keep it. I said, it doesn't make sense. These are portfolio that are doing better. Do you want to change? So I thought I have that discussion. It's okay. Ima, let me go with your options. I said, okay, fine. Sign me this document, and we did that. And before, oh, he lost in March, he has lost more than close to $2,000. And before June, he has gained all the things he lost.
Hmm.
Now, as I checked his account last month, hey, it was on the positive. He has made over $2,000 extra. That's the work of a financial advisor, and that's why that is the responsibility. Does all the advisors do it? I don't know. So, but that's the responsibility that we are saddled with. I need to check that you are making money with your account. So, like you said, can you have all the money in one bucket? Because the law that establishes all those accounts are different. So the law that established the RSP is different from TFSA. So, and also different from IRP that you do to your UL. Now, but you can buy all these products with one person. That's like an advisor can help you get all these products. It might be from the same company or different company, but they are different portfolio. Like for example, that my client that I told you have other investment with me. So when anytime I'm meeting him at least once a year, except maybe if the market is doing badly, I can just text him and say, you have like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just get across to me. Let's look at this thing. So, but outside that, if everything is fine, we just meet every annual, once a year, once their plan is due for review. So when we are doing the review, we have to review all their portfolio. So it might be RSP, it might be TFSA, it might be UL, it might be RESP for their child. So all those things are the things we look at. And then we probably, probably some other investment are doing very well, For example, right now, some of US funds are doing extremely awesome. Some of them are 48%. So what does it mean when you have 48%? So let's say, for example, you invest $50,000 and you are getting 48%. That's almost like half of what you are investing, you are getting it back. It's a lot of money. So if you don't take advantage of it, there are some other investments that are doing like 3. There are some of them that are doing minus. So that's the reason why you have to know where you put your money in. And that's how you double it. And that's why you don't just keep your money and go and sleep. No, you have to be tracking it to be sure that, because let's say, for example, I have some clients that tell me, Ima, you know what, at retirement, I want to have $140,000 every year. I say, hey, what do you want to use that money for? Because at that time, it's assumed that all your children are in school, you finish paying. You said, I want to be traveling to the Caribbean 3 months during the winter. I said, okay.
That's a good one.
Okay, if it is this what you want, what do we need to do? We go to the software, we play around it. Okay, so what you need to be doing is to be putting $1,000 every month. So by the time you get to 67, you'll be able to have access this money. And then we went into it, and every year we have a focus that, okay, by so and so year, this is how much money you need to have in your account. So at the end of 1 year, we have a target. I say, okay, fine, if you contribute this is what you're supposed to have based on the performance on the market. Now, when we do the review, and then you saw, he said, oh, I'm making more than what you have even put. And then the guy added the extra money. So that's how it works. I don't know if I answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just one more. So when you're talking about putting the money in one bucket, so would those Fortune 500 Fortune 500 business be one of those buckets that people put and
Yes.
go to sleep?
Yes.
Would that be a strong recommendation?
Well, for S&P 500 is good
Yes.
because just like what they say, put your money in S&P 500, go to sleep, you are guaranteed of 10 to 12% return because that fund has history. They have been there for over 150 years. Okay, but there are some funds now that are coming up that are doing better than S&P 500. So what I always recommend to my client is take advantage of some of the S&P because that one, it's just like when you want to buy Gucci, there are some other things that are as expensive as Gucci and probably maybe quality wise might even be better than Gucci. But Gucci will tell them, okay, this is $1,000, this is $2,000, but I can get it for $200 and might be better than but because of the name. So they've been there for over the time, the name they are selling. This is the same thing in S&P. The name is there. They've already built that reputation.
Brand equity.
Yeah, so that's how it works. But there are some, like the US technology now is doing a great lot. I think the last time I checked was about 46% return. So what it means is if you put $10,000, I get 46% return. So that means in 1 year, space of 1 year, you make over $4,600 on a $10,000 investment. That's a lot of money. So you can imagine if you put $100,000 and you are getting $46,000 on top on 1 year, it's a lot of money. So that's why. But if you now get to an investment that you have 3% return, so you see the difference between the two. So that's how it works.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. I really appreciate that because it makes sense, right? Again, it's less risky, but it's guaranteed. And that's why a lot of people go for that. Unlike those, like you mentioned, they're just coming up. A lot of people, they've not built the reputation as much as the others. So again, people are not so sure, but then they work. They do the job. Thank you so much. It's 8 o'clock already, and I don't know. I think, but let's do. I still have another question.
Just one is not a long
Please go
one.
ahead. Sorry, ladies. It's an interesting conversation. It's money
Yes,
matters.
thank you. And I think I've taken note of the email and phone number I can follow up. But this, I heard you from the beginning of the presentation. You were mentioning there are different, insurance. And just like where we are coming from, I've been here. I've heard a lot of pitches different from yours. Even some of them probably from the same platform. But when I listen to them, it sounds like too good to be true. I'm an IT person, an accountant, so it looks like a scam. So what I want to ask is all these different agencies and advisor on that different platform, are they regulated with the same, because this finance, there must be regulation. Are they regulated with the same body as with the likes of the TD and RBC?
Okay, good question.
Good question.
Good question. Yes. So I'll be straightforward. Yes. a regulator regulates the same regulations. Okay, there is insurance company, there is brokerage.
Yeah.
So in Canada, you cannot just stand as a one person and say you have to be under a brokerage.
Mhm.
So brokerage is the one that have contract with the insurance company.
Okay.
Now the regulator regulates the insurance company.
Okay.
Right. So now brokerage now, depending on which brokerage is you are getting your plan through, will determine what your cost of insurance will be.
Okay.
Because it's a negotiation of contract. Just like when I was working for Wetec, it's an international oil and gas company. I also have some colleagues from US, some colleagues from Canada, but their basic salary is not the same.
Mhm.
You are doing the same job.
It's valid.
Yeah, you are doing the same job, but your salary, your basic salary is not the same. Your basic salary is to the function of the economy of your country and
Okay.
how you can negotiate your contract. Because you might be doing the same, you have the same qualification and you are doing the same job, but your salary is not the same. So the same thing with the brokerage system. Now, depending on which brokerage you are going through, will determine what your cost of insurance will be. Because if you're asking too much from insurance, it's the client that will pay it. So that means the cost of your insurance will go up. You don't know all this if you just coming in like, so everybody just say, oh, I have insurance. You know, they are not the same. So, and the way it's been designed as well, it's not the same. Because there's a way that it's been designed that will favor the advisor and the insurance company.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because the clients, the cost of insurance will be higher. Insurance, they're not charity organization.
Of
So
course.
if you are asking for, and that's a fact. If you're asking for too much, the insurance will not say no to you. They will say, okay, no problem. But remember they're in business. So who is paying for that? So now, if most of those brokerages, some people are family oriented, so they want more for the family. So in that way, if you go through them, like ours, I don't want to say this, but but of course, it's good that you have like a sample around,
Yeah.
especially for somebody like a broker. For example, I have contract with about 11 insurance company in Canada. So if you tell me I'm getting my product from so and so company, I know what you have
It's there.
because I have access to their platform. So I compare price and I can say, okay, you know what, this one is better for you. And depending on what the client wants, because every insurance company has their own
Selling points.
yes, correct, selling point. So now
Mhm.
let's say some people will say, okay, if you pass away, we'll give your children scholarship on top of the insurance that you have. So if somebody is interested in that, you might say, okay, I want to go with those people. Now,
Mhm.
some will say, okay, we'll give you share of our company. Some of them will say, okay, we'll give you more money to you. So you have more money to yourself. So, but if you are getting a share to a company, it means you cannot have more money to yourself because you already own part of the company. So
Okay.
these are trade-off that need to be checked, and that's why you need to work with a good broker. But brokerages in Canada are not regulated. But
Not
right
as
now,
much.
they are not regulated. Right. Well, let me rephrase. Not really that. So I'm trying to see regulated in the sense that they don't look at their book, but they have a guideline that they must follow.
Right. All right.
But right now, with the new law coming in, they want to see in a way that brokerage will be regulated. So that means the regulator can say, you know what, we need your record. And you can't come because we have more than 60,000 advisors in Canada. So you can imagine if the government want to be going after each person, that would be up big tax. But they just go to brokerage and say, okay, we need so and so in your brokerage. They look for you. So it's easy. And that's why you cannot operate alone in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay. But insurance is well regulated in Canada. But of course, you also have to check because your contract is what really matters in your plan. So your
Definitely.
contract is worried because you can challenge the insurance company and they can lose their license. But if you have signed that contract, you have signed it already. So, and that's the reason why all my clients, before they sign anything, you have to know what you are signing. Because when I came in new, before I start doing this, what I'm doing right now, I have a plan. And when it was approved, the person just called me, hey, your plan is approved. Take, sign. I just signed because I didn't know what I was signing. But And that happens to majority of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's not fair, because if you are signing a contract that the person and determine what happens to you, and you don't know what you are signing, it's not fair to the client, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's why we take the time to explain the contract, and then if you're happy with it, go ahead and sign. And that way you are understanding, not that you just sign something that you come later, oh, I don't even know what I have. So, and that happens to majority of people.
Interesting.
Thank you. I will definitely get in touch with you.
I was going
No
to
problem.
recommend that.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Bola, the 1 hour is not enough for you, okay? For this conversation, that you should connect with Emmanuel and have this conversation offline so that you can
Yeah.
get the best and get all your answers questions. I'm glad as an accountant, you can relate to some of these things,
Thank
and
you.
then, but
Yeah.
some of things are new as well. But having someone around who can explain those are really very critical for, especially at this time, for most of us. So thank you so much for your questions. I really enjoy that. We're already like 7 minutes past. And just before we go, I know we've been throwing around some terms. So you mentioned IRP. For the benefit of those who do not understand these terms, it took me quite a while to know the difference between RRSP and RESP. And some of us are still there. Just for clarity's sake, at least even if we don't understand everything, let's just walk away with the explanations of those abbreviations. So let's start with the IRP. What does that mean?
IRP is Insured Retirement Strategy. It's a strategy that is done through your UL. So now that's what the insurance do, because the plan is established. This plan actually started from the US. If I want to, I've just it will be broad, but let me just make it a bit short.
Make it brief.
So yeah, so you use your UL, you have Universal Life, and then you do that plan within Universal Life. So now you have the insurance, and then you have the investment component that is linked within this. So now you have an investment that you can assess, and you also have the insurance. So you have two in one bucket. And also, depending on where you are buying the plan from, there are also other incentives like living benefit, the critical illness. So if the person becomes critically ill, you have the living benefit, the occupation disabled, and also there are also compassionate benefit program. But that's will depend on where you are buying the plan for. Compassionate benefit program means if the person have been, maybe they have 1 or 2 years to live, okay, so they will be able to give you 50% of your life insurance while you are still alive, up to a maximum of $250,000. So let's say somebody have a $1 million coverage, then 50% of it is not 250. So the maximum, you get the maximum, which is $250,000. So while the person is still alive, they can use that money to use it for anything they like. And when they die, the remaining will be paid to the beneficiary. So that means that they contribute to a plan, and they also enjoy that plan while they are alive, while they are still alive, right? So that's it. Then RRSP is Registered Retirement Savings Plan. That enable you to save towards retirement. The growth on it is tax-free, but when you are assessing the money, you will definitely, it's a tax deferred arrangement. So you also, anytime you are assessing it, and another good thing with that is you can also, for people that are first-time home buyer, okay, you can also borrow from your RSP to pay for your down payment. Now, when you borrow the money from your RSP, there won't be taxes on it if you are using it to buy your first home. Okay, and the government gives you about 15 years to put the money back. So, but if you don't put the money back, there's there's penalty for that. And there are some other provinces, I think Ontario, depending on what your income is, they can also borrow you some part. So let's say, for example, let me put number in. So you have $15,000 in your RSP. So you borrow the entire 15,000. Now the province can also borrow extra 15,000, making it $30,000 that you can pay towards your first home. There's another new plan that just came out the middle of last year, which is called first time home buyer plan. Now that's a new plan that everybody in Canada will be able to access to. Each year you can contribute at least $8,000 on the plan, and you have maximum of 5 years to contribute it towards your first home. But if you have bought your first home, then you are not qualified for that plan. And that plan has both RSP and TFSA, privilege. So that means that you are not paying any taxes on the growth. when you are withdrawing it to buy the house as well, you are not paying anything as well. But it has to be solely is for house, it's for your first home. If you withdraw it for some other purpose, it will be subject to taxes. Okay. Now TFSA is tax-free savings account. So that means you can, it's a tax-free savings account, and for everybody in Canada that is 18 years and above, you have access to that, and CRA tell you the room you have per time. So let's say, for example, you come into Canada this year. This year, room is $7,000. For everybody that is 18 years and above, you have that $7,000 room that you can contribute towards your TFSA. If you've been in Canada for like 4 years, last year was 6,500, and 6,500 had been like that for like 4 years. So every year, CRA will tell you what number will be. You can log into your CRA account and you see the room you have. So the program started 2009. So if you have been in Canada from 2009 till now, and you have not used your room, so that means you've been having over $90-something thousand room. So what it means is, if you have that money, you can put it in that vehicle, and it will enjoy the privilege of a TFSA. Then we have the RESP, that's Register Education Savings Plan. That's for children, because tertiary education is not covered by the provincial government in Canada. So if we want our children to go to tertiary education, we have to start saving for them, so that at that time, we don't have to say, oh, where do I get money from? Or maybe they have to go take a loan. Because, when somebody is starting life and having the debt already on their neck, that's not a good thing. But with the strategy that the government already have, we can actually plan ahead for them. And under the space of 4 years, some people already have saved for their children maybe $30,000. So that means if any of them had to say, okay, they want to earn, what I always recommend is put it in a family account. If you have more than one child, sorry. So that means if one of them decide not to go to school, the other person can use it. Or maybe probably somebody study economics and the other one study medicine. Of course, medicine, we need more money, right? So if the economics own did not finish their own money, then the medicine own can collect their brother or their sister own. But if you put it under a separate account, you can't transfer it. So that's why I always recommend put it in a family account. Then in that means, okay, fine. One of the children did finish their own, the other one can use it. And if they decide not to go to school, the portion that the government, because government give you 20% or whatever you contribute to, the maximum of 7,200 for the space of the duration for that account. What am I saying? So until the child is 17, the government can pay you 7,200. That's the max. The reason why in Canada, government regulates almost everything. And because, for example, if you say, I'll give you 20% of whatever you put inside, somebody will go and put $100,000. So if you put 20%, then because they have the money, they will be putting it that way. So, but if you like, you can put 1 million. But the max we put is once that 7,000 has finished, it is finished for the person. So that's how they do it.
Wow. Thank you so very much. Please, ladies, I don't know if it was just Bolatito and I that just enjoyed this session because no questions from the rest of you. But I want to say a big thank you to Emmanuel Olorunfemi. Thank you so very much for sharing your expertise and wealth of knowledge with us. I mean, you've enriched our lives. At least we're more financially aware and informed than we were a day before, or even like some 3 hours before now. So thank you very much. And I hope that again, if we call you again, you'll be able to help us with this.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, on a final note, anyone on this platform can reach out to you because you've said a lot. I know they may not have said anything, but I know they are listening and they have their questions and they want to reach out later. So if any of them reaches out to you at any time, like, okay, well, you said this, can you put me through this or even just like provide that guidance? I hope it's something you can do for them.
Yes, I'm more than happy to do that. And then I have a calendar all over the world. I mean, that they can also book a session if they want to know more about it, because of course 1 hour is not enough to
Absolutely.
I
This is
just
just
put
for the
1 hour.
preambles.
Yeah. 1 hour is not enough. And what I always recommend is before you go to anything, understand what you are going into and see the forecast. See whether it works for you. Because one thing with this, once you sign the contract, you don't have any protection again because you can't win them. But the point is, the law gives insurance company less power, but the power rests in client. But if you have signed the contract, you can't go to the, because I say, okay, I'm going to the regulator and say, hey, these people back into me, and it was okay. How? You signed the contract. They said this. They told you this is what we are selling to you, and then you already signed it. So okay. But if they actually cheated you, then their license could be withdrawn, and that's the industry is well regulated in Canada. Somebody is
That's very
raising up their
comforting.
hand, but
Chimarume just woke up when we're just about to round off. Okay.
Sorry, I was cooking.
I know. These multitasking mamas. Yeah, sure.
Good evening. Sorry for drawing you backward. Okay, my question is on this recent tax stuff. I don't know if I'm supposed to ask that kind of question here, since it
okay,
has
go
to
ahead,
do
please.
something with finance. Yes. So like I've been hearing you have to fill tax return form. I don't know who is qualified to fill a tax form. Because I remember when I opened an account when I came in last year, I don't know whether it's something Canada Revenue Agency sent me one form asking me to fill. I refused to fill it. It was when they now threatened that they will close their account. I had to go to the bank. I met them. I now told them, please, could you explain what this and this is to me? Before I was so, okay, yeah, it's just for you to do that. Because left for me, I'm not going to sign something I don't understand. Just like what Christy said, and what you also said, before you sign any something, you have to be sure of, read it, and if you don't understand, you ask questions. So I had to go to the bank and ask. I was then told, okay, is this and that, and that. My mind was not happy. I then signed. That was the only way, because they told me they were going to close my account that day, since I refused signing that stuff. So now my question goes to this tax return stuff that I've been hearing. Who are
Okay.
those qualified to? Because I'm a student. Am I qualified to fill it?
Okay, for every adult in Canada, you need to file a tax at
Okay.
every at the end of every year, and we're in tax period right now. It's
Okay.
end by April 30th. If you're a student, there are tax-free clinic. I don't know if you guys have HR block.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And then most of these immigrant services, they also offer free services to low-income earner and especially student. So you can also walk in there and then you see a tax accountant or maybe somebody there to guide you through. It's a simple tax case you have. So it's
Okay.
different from somebody that is an entrepreneur that have corporate account, personal account. So you have to, but like a simple tax case, you can get, and like some of these religious organizations also have all these things within that they can help you. You just go
Okay.
there, a tax clinic, they can help you file it, and that's all. So for
Okay.
it's by law, the requirement for everybody in Canada, you have to file tax at least once a year.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry for drawing you backwards.
No, that's fine. No, so and please, sorry, I think you want to say something. Let me know,
Yeah,
jump
I
in.
just wanted to say no, she's not dragging us back. At least I'm glad that she has the platform to ask that question again instead of just carrying the burden around. So yeah, no problem.
So thank you very much. Please feel free to talk to me, and then if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer you. And if you need more section, we can always, when you reach out to me, we can always find a way to figure out when it's work for both of us.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank
Again,
you
it's been
very
a
much.
very enriching session. Thank you so much. And then have
Thank you.
the rest of your evening, everyone.
Same here. Thank you very
Have
much.
a good
Bye.
evening.
Night.
Thank you.